Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this stream. Let me know if you're doing well. Let me also know if you can hear me well and if the sound is fine or if there are any issues besides my cranky voice. Let me fix this with a sip of coffee. How is your day going? Starting? Hope it's going all right, at least. Today, as you can see in the left bottom corner, we have a plan of action. It's gonna be the goal is to come up with a design for an album cover for a mix that my brother is working on, and will be releasing soon. And the theme is decompression. Hello, Nervan. Doing great. Hearing well, all good. Nice. Great to have you here, as always. I think I should invest a little bit of time into coming up with rewards for watch points, because everyone who's watching on Twitch is getting some kind of currency. I mean, it's no Bitcoin, it's just for engagement and fun, but dedicated watchers like Nervin here should be rewarded for their commitment. Anyhow, the topic of the stream today is album art and decompression. And I thought we can start with pencil sketches, because last two times it was mostly digital, and maybe it is time to get back to some traditional doodles. So I will just, I guess, start and walk you through my thought process along the way. If you have any questions or comments, do not hesitate to write them in the chat, or if you're watching this in the recording, you can join Discord and we can discuss everything there. So, decompression. There are a few caveats here. I think one important thing to keep in mind that it's gonna be album cover art, so we have compositional or layout restrictions in a way. It needs to fit within the square, and then if you're interested in listening to previous episodes of Decompression that my brother has released, you can go to SoundCloud or Mixcloud, to one of the clouds, and find him under the nickname of Fresh Meat. So one of the recurring kind of themes in the previous episodes of Decompression were how would you say it? Diver, I think. Like, you know, a person with, like, in a suit with this kind of old time diving suits. So we will maybe want to incorporate something, a character like this, So we have a character requirements and we have an layout requirements. Other than that, it's pretty much up to me to explore the topic, and I do really enjoy those mixes that he produces in this series, because they have kind of very specific vibe, and I think this is where we're gonna be starting this brainstorm minutes. I don't think we'll spend that much time brainstorming. It's more fun to actually sketch. But obviously, from the name Decompression, you can understand that it's something that kind of expansive, and there is the feeling of release of sorts, and there is, from the musical point of view, if you listen to the mix afterwards, after the stream, I couldn't add it as a background music. That would be the best thing to do, because then it will be muted on YouTube and Twitch, so that would kind of defeat the purpose. Those copyright rules are pretty annoying. So it's expensive, it has a sort of feeling of release, and from the musical point of view, it has this kind of, I want to say, tribal or like primal, ancient feeling to it. It has usually some kind of drums or some vocals from what seems to be maybe old recordings of some more rural music. I don't know how to say it, but kind of like distinctly ethnical styles of music. That's kind of part of it. Then there is, I think also maybe from that, there is the feeling of like dancing around the campfire. So I think some kind of campfire or just fire would be a good thing to add. And then for this specific mix that I had the pleasure to listen as kind of like as a sketch, it also has this kind of feeling of being on the well, let's also add dancing here, because it's still dance music, but it's more like a caveman dance music, I think. The meaning it in the least judgmental way possible. So campfire, fire, and then in this specific mix there is this kind of, what the images that come to mind is like sitting on the ocean shore, so like shore or beach, and it's kind of like a night theme, but there is also some kind of tension on the background, so that's why I think ocean is a good metaphor for it, or a good image, because there is a sometimes very dark horizon line, dark clouds on the horizon. So those are kind of visual elements that come to mind when I listen to the music, and I think would be interesting to include somehow in the cover art. I don't know if we will fit, like in which way this character will fit there. That's kind of about to, we'll figure it out. Maybe it's just gonna be a character standing somewhere. Maybe it's we will make him into like an astronaut flowing through space. And then another thing that maybe is worth considering for this kind of a simple album cover art is that we might want, I don't know if he will want to do it, but we might want to keep in mind where the name and the title is gonna go. So we will need like a artist name and then the album name, or well, let's call it album or mix or track, depending on what you're making the cover for. And this is, I think this is enough for releasing music on platforms like Mixcloud or Soundcloud. There are certain other elements you can work on, like the banner for the background, and I bet other platforms also support other customization options. But for now, we will just make some sort of like a square composition that includes some sort of campfire, night, and like primal feel and dark clouds horizon. Maybe ocean, maybe not. So I think between these two, like we have campfire, like we have fire and we have ocean. So those are pretty much opposites, which is a good thing to have in as a tool. Like we can play around with those contrasts. So I'm thinking maybe like we will have a campfire here of sorts. I want the feeling of the clouds on the background to be kind of just something maybe that you notice after you look at it for a bit. But first I will just kind of think more in terms of composition. So I want to have some dynamic energy within my illustration or within this cover. So I don't want to place everything, in the right in the middle. If you go a little bit off center in any direction, it will create this movement that, like as a viewer, your eyes see the whole picture first, and then they see whatever is, I guess, highest contrast within the picture. So if it's somewhere off center, your eyes, instead of just going like this, they kind of watch it the whole picture first, and then they focus on one area, and then that moves them somewhere else. So you kind of get this, some kind of movement. And depending on where you place your elements, the movement of the viewer's eye throughout the image will be different and will cause different impression, I guess. So maybe we'll have like a bonfire here, and it could be more artistic. We don't really need to go here with having super realistic approach. We can make fire be more of an idea of fire, with kind of flames engulfing everything, and then somewhere in the distance, maybe like in the top third or quarter of an image, you can think of some sort of cloud coverage. And I want to have it all sort of dark, with the flame probably being the brightest element there. At this stage, I'm not really settling on anything. It's more of a exploration phase where we just try a few different options and see what feels nice. I think it's pretty important to have some sort of a process in mind and remind yourself of which stage of the process you're in. Because as for me, for example, it's very easy to fall into judgment of what am I doing, if it's good or not. And there are certain stages of the project where judging the result is probably not the most productive use of your time, because within brainstorming sessions, this kind of discovery phase of the project, it's I guess better or more productive to come up with a lot of different ideas before you start deciding what's really good about them and which ideas are bad. And you can always spend some more time later doing that, right? So maybe, speaking of composition, maybe we do make fire kind of the center, and then we will have some sort of like circles coming out of it of different lightness, so it will go kind of darker as it goes out, as it should. And then somewhere on the horizon we can maybe mimic these circles with like a huge spiral going there. Okay, cloud spiral. You know, clouds often come in spirals. I recently was looking at the weather app and I noticed a huge spiral circling around the Netherlands, with us kind of being right on the way. Looked a bit spooky, but nothing really happened. It just was wet and windy. So maybe another. Well, we also don't have any characters on any of these ideas. Maybe we'll add one option with character doing something. We can also play around with this whole idea of having a beach there. So, you know, if you look from above, maybe we'll have like a beach line somewhere here, and then a deeper ocean line somewhere there, so we can have sort of like a gradient from very dark to a bit lighter. You don't see it right now, but in my head it's blue, and it will be blue when we get to Procreate. Oh, that sounds weird. Such a strange name of the app if you think about it. Procreate. Sounds always like you're suggesting something. So we could have like the head of our diver somewhere here. I don't know if it will be clear that it's a head, but you would see maybe like a reflection here, or the mask of these kind of like crates in front of it. I don't know if it will be clear. Maybe we'll add shoulders to him and make him kind of like stand in the water there. And then to balance it on the other side, you would be seeing a campfire on this side. And we can also have like circles of radiating light here. And then maybe to have another layer on top of it, we could have like the clouds coming from above as like the darkest layer on top of everything. We can even add like a shadow underneath as it's getting closer. Let's also number them for easier reference. It's also useful sometimes to restrict your time from going all in on brainstorming part. That's why I tried to say maybe 30 minutes in pencil and then an hour and a half in Procreate, and then an outro as always. So we can also try to go, all in on zooming into the fire. So maybe like the fire is actually engulfing the whole cover. And in the distance there is this figure of the diver standing in the water, looking into the ocean. With the clouds forming in the distance. And then the kind of this background will be darker, and this flame engulfing it will be bright. Maybe thinking not only in terms of the mood, but also in terms of the kind of message for the snail is out. Anyway, if we think about decompression as the metaphor or as a theme, and kind of this release and expansive feel of it, maybe we need some kind of funnel, like it's all coming from one point, that I think also can give this feeling of decompression. And maybe then here we will have just like the top of the head of the diver sticking out. And this is sort of his decompressing out of his head. Or maybe there is Maybe I don't know if we need the background here. We can maybe keep it one of the sketches, keep it kind of minimalistic and just keep it maybe 2 to 3 colors. But maybe we need like a view from the perspective of the diver. So, you know, if we have a diver here, standing, that's a reference to Mike Oldfield, if you're wondering what just happened. So if we have our diver here and he's actually not looking at the cloud behind him, or well, in this case behind him, but he's looking at the shore, and there is a big campfire somewhere in the distance. Maybe it's so big it doesn't even fit on the screen, and there are kind of like people dancing around. I don't know if this counts as dancing people, but there is certainly something happening to them. And then we can also, you know, chip out on drawing proper anatomy and just keep them as silhouettes, because they're in the distance, there is a big fire, so no need to add details. Or we can also add maybe the clouds here coming, like he's coming from the clouds maybe, that are on the ocean. The color will also be a big thing for this cover, because obviously it will create a lot of, the mood will mostly be color, I think, in this case. I think if you have like a character or a face or a very clear scene, you can probably emphasize some mood or emotion with facial expressions. But in our case, it's gonna be mostly color. Maybe it's worth actually doing also some color studies, like a sunset over the ocean or something like that. Maybe I'll just create a few squares here on the side, just to keep that in mind, for just to keep them, make this space empty for color doodles. We could also think that, you know, this diver, or whoever the character is, spaceman, maybe by decompressing, it's kind of all coming from his head, and it's his way of decompressing is dreaming about the campfire and dancing in front of the campfire. Because even though the clouds are coming and tomorrow it's gonna rain and be miserable, or maybe it's gonna rain and it's gonna be great. Back in the day, People had all sorts of rituals to summon rain. And I guess dancing in front of a campfire wouldn't be that far off one of those celebrations. Do you already have a preference out of this? Ultimately, the final voice will be my brother's voice, who will judge which cover he prefers. But if you have any personal favorites already, let me know. I think I like this more maybe minimalistic version of it, kind of with the character decompressing in more kind of graphic design style rather than oops, broke the pencil, rather than having more realistic environment or something like that. But I also like these kind of what this view from above gives is these circles that we can use. I like using circles everywhere. That's my problem. Can have like a big circle with fire. Somewhere here. And maybe a small circle of the diver standing in the water. And the diver can be a black circle, and then the flames will be the yellow or white circle. And then the shoreline can be something diagonal to kind of, excuse me, to have more dynamic composition rather than something horizontal and vertical. Kind of like yin and yang, you know, but not really. I wanted to talk about yin and yang at some point. I don't know why. But I've been recently thinking that because, you know, if you're doom scrolling, like I do sometimes, you would get very annoyed with everything on the internet at some point. And I thought a lot of it comes from always being forced to pick one of the two. In a way, you know, like it's very black and white. You either in this camp or you're in that camp. You're either if you join, if you don't join, then you're against it. So, you know, like if you're not completely white, like, what? Wait. This conversation went into a dangerous topic out of context. If you're, you know, pretend, let's say, good and bad instead of black and white. You know, it's a very binary world. Well, that's the thing. It's not a binary world where everything is trying to make you squeeze into one of the categories. And I thought, you know, there is this yin yang symbol in Chinese philosophy, I guess, with this, you know, like a circle that has kind of two drop shapes flowing into each other, one white, one black, but each of them has a dot of the opposite color. And maybe this guy is floating here actually in flames. Maybe that's a bit different image than what I had in mind with Decompression. Looks like he's on fire. Maybe that's not great for the guy. But with yin and yang, I feel like it's often kind of missed, and which brings a lot of problems in the world, is the point that there is a third, you know, like it's at least a third. It's not just black and white, but there is also, the whole point of it is that there is a third which is a combination of the two, or which comes from the interaction. So like there is the black, there is the white, but there is also the whole that comes from both. And I think you can kind of transpose this metaphor into the world around you as well. There is like there is always something like a combination of the two. Here I'm thinking maybe this decompression needs some texture. Maybe it's kind of like both thoughts and flames coming out of his head, but also just some patterns and swirls of energy. Let me get the colors ready. I didn't really plan on using colors for this, but I think it's a good idea to try out some watercolors as well. So what I had in mind here before, like what was in my mind when I was doodling this black and white stuff, was that the fire can be like a yellow something, a yellow side of it, maybe with some redness going outwards. It will look very different in Procreate, obviously, with more digital colors. But as a mood test, we can definitely use watercolors as well. So I thought kind of like this, maybe, not specifically, but we have this bright yellow spot and then it goes into the darkness, into the distance. And we can play around with kind of how much of the blue do we want. Maybe it covers most of the cover. Or maybe it's actually, there is just one little yellow spot and the rest is this deep indigo blue, which kind of slowly emerges with the yellow. I don't really want green there. I feel like the green doesn't fit with the topic. It's sort of the opposite of, well, not really, it's sort of, it is the opposite of red. And we want red because it's supposed to be like a campfire. So maybe we'll have to go through red into the blue. And then for the number 5, I thought maybe something kind of the opposite. We have this blue in front, or not in front, at the bottom is blue, and then the thoughts that are coming out of his head will be yellow. I think from the point of decompression, number 5 and 7 speak the loudest to me. Do you have a preference? Do any of them feel more like decompression than the others? It's a very abstract topic, you know, decompression. It's I like the images that come to my head and kind of the feeling that it creates, especially in terms of current state of the world when everything feels like it's falling apart. And I guess compressed is a regular state of mind these days. So decompression feels like a right solution to this problem. You know what? Now looking at this color sketch at the bottom, I feel like I want to do a bigger sketch on paper instead of going straight to Procreate. So maybe we do a little bit of a switcheroo of our plans. Not that anyone is really relying on those plans. But maybe it's a good time to invite everyone to join our Discord. If you're watching on Twitch, you can type !Discord and then you will get a link directly to our little community on Discord. Maybe I even not gonna create the frame for myself, but just sort of both frames. I will just kind of outline what I'm thinking about. So here, maybe somewhere here will be the head. The idea is to kind of sketch it on the bigger frame, and then we can crop it and finish it up in Procreate the way we want. Mervin says, I like 6 or 7, and 9 is also interesting. You don't like 5? I thought 5 is so cool. 9 is also interesting. I wonder if it has an opposite meaning than decompression. But for now, let's continue with number 5. So the image that I have in mind with this old diver's suit. Let me find you a reference picture. Old diving gear. So something like this, you know. Let's actually save it to stream references. Speaking of which, if you want to get access to the references that I'm using or used in the previous challenges, they are all on Pinterest. And on Twitch you can type !refs to get the link. So this is what I'm thinking, you know, like something like a circular head and then some kind of like vents on everywhere, like in every direction there is some sort of a vent. But because he's, well, I don't know if he's standing backwards to us, maybe he's actually facing us, and we can add his facial vent as well. We don't need to draw him in the details because I don't want to have him have too many details. I want it to keep kind of abstract. But what we will need, this also, this one, save to references, this one as well. Probably AI generated, maybe not. Just, you know, to have an idea of how does it look like in reality. We don't want to make it look realistic, but we want to make it look believable, right? There is a slight difference, but it's an important one. There is some sort of a vent here, and then another vent there, and then there are these rivets, and some sort of hooks or holes in the plate. The plate is actually a nice design element. We can, you know, extract, like if this becomes a theme and the character shows up more, we can use the plate to communicate certain messages, like put the title of the album there, or of the episode, or maybe it's just a number of the episode, like this is gonna be episode 3. So I'm thinking, you know, from his top we'll have like some sort of big swoopy swoop of energy coming out like this. You move. And it could be swirling around, but it also should remind the flames a little bit, because I want this campfire metaphor to be somehow visible. And maybe the guy himself is, we see his shoulders, but then the rest is just turns into clouds as the night approaches. Or maybe it's waves in which he's sitting that are going in all directions. Something like this. But the main point of this part was to try actually bigger swoops of color. And for bigger swoops, we will need a bigger brush. Let's start with yellow, as it is the brightest one we will use here, I think. I also want to slowly start adding reds here and there. I probably want to go more red on the outside and kind of more bright and yellow in the beginning of the flame. Haven't painted with such a big brush in such a long time. It's a very interesting feel. Very different from my usual tiny brushes. Maybe I will add some highlights on the helmet as well to just keep it separated from the background when the background comes. And maybe to give it a little bit more shape definition, if you know what I mean. I don't know if this horizon blue color will fit, because it's very pale blue. Maybe the helmet is pale blue. The thing with watercolors, you can kind of always cover things with darker color if you use the color that's too light. So we can try with this horizon blue, and if it doesn't work, we have the indigo to cover it up. Let's try maybe to cover also this one. While we're at it, for February, I'm thinking about hosting another challenge. And right now on Discord, if you are interested, you can participate in a community vote on the topic. We have 3 topics so far. The Fruity Fishes challenge for February is winning, but there is still time to cast your vote if you prefer something else. Either way, I'm still deciding what's the format of the challenge. My thoughts right now are just to make it a whole month theme with the number of artworks that participants should produce if they want to. I'm thinking 10. It's a easy to remember number, and you can kind of do them in 1 week, or you can spread them across a whole month and do a couple of sketches every 2 to 3 days. So, you know, there are options. But with Fruity Fishes, before I go into Fruity Fishes, that's such a stupid name. With challenges, right now I'm in the experimental stage of the studio, so everything can change from month to month or even week to week sometimes. But the idea is to try have 1 challenge a month, but at the same time keep it sustainable, so, you know, not lead people and myself to burnout, which isn't the goal of the challenges. So we'll be trying out a few different ways of challenging creative muscle in our brains over the course of the next few months. And for February, it seems like the fishes are winning on Discord as a topic. So my gut tells me that this is probably gonna be the February challenge. And if other topics from the same pool or sound interesting to anyone, we can do the March topic on the other one. So now I'm getting to the point when I think I'll just take a picture of this and continue some more details in Procreate, and then later today I will show it to the client, so to say, and get his feedback on the art and which of those he prefers, and then maybe redraw everything if he doesn't like this one. I'm not sure if this light blue, what is called horizon blue, is actually working here. I want it to be more blue. The feeling's supposed to be that it's a dance despite the circumstances and not because of them. Let me take a picture of this, send it to Procreate. That sounds weird again. But let's see how far we can get it done in Procreate in the next probably hour. Right. Is it working? Yes, it is. So let's add this picture here. And now let me get the watercolor away so I don't cover myself in paint. But let's first clean up the image itself. There are big parts we don't need, so we can remove this, can remove some stuff this side, the bottom as well, and on the right side. So that's kind of the idea, and then with the text, I thought if we decide to add text, this would go maybe like here. Decompression. Doesn't fit, but you know what I mean. And here we can add the name of the artist. Meat. I think the key point of decompression in these circumstances is actually letting go of things, making mistakes, not clenching so hard to the final result, but instead enjoying the process. Let's make like a working area here. Maybe like 1024 by 1024. Because we need a square, so. Let's maybe add 2 rows. I want to sketch some different variations here as well, so I want to make a few of these. And then see if I can finalize either of them, or we'll just leave them as 6 more or less defined ideas and then send it to the client to get the feedback. So if we put this one into clipping mode, clipping mask mode, then we can preview it in this square format and see how does it fit there. We can also see if we need some more of these flames, or alternatively we can have more of the clouds and the sea. Although in this case I don't really like that the diver is right kind of in the center. I would rather have him off center. Could it be that he is decompressing sideways? Or is it too weird? No, that's kind of strange. It's not that strange is bad, but maybe we want him a bit to the left. And then we can also, continue the flames to the right, maybe. You know, it could swirl around, and this blue can be more kind of, can maybe have more interaction with it. I don't know if it's a good idea that it kind of, you know, engulfs the diver, the flame, I mean, but why not try one option like that? And here obviously this all will be kind of all bright and yellow and orange, and the outsides will be more dark blue. I want to keep some of the elements of the watercolor and the pencil from the background elements, just kind of maybe the texture or just the lines here and there, so eventually I will have to blend it more together with the digital aspect, but I don't want to lose the traditional elements completely. I think we focus too much on perfection and forget the human touch in this whole world of social media and everything. So the other option I wanted to try out was making everything much smaller and darker. So what if, you know, we take this, instead of the pale blue, maybe we use this darker blue all around. It's a bit literal decompression if you think about it, but as long as it has the energy, the right vibes, I think it's okay to be literal sometimes. Should we try to, with the music at the end of this stream, which is maybe 40 minutes away, should we also try to aim for decompression as a topic? Maybe we should. And then we can create some dub music or something like that. Or reggae. I haven't really tried to create any non-electronic music genres on this device. Maybe it's gonna be a fun idea for some future streams to create like a orchestral piece on Roland MC101. Yeah, I think I like the darker a bit more. Maybe we can even go one step further. Let me try one more. First one right here. Maybe we take... Let's use a little this lasso tool. It's gonna be super handy for this, I think. So what if we take this whole part something like this, and then we just cover it up. Awfully quiet today. Wonder where is everybody? So now we can select it again, invert it. Did you know, by the way, that if you need to select or restore your selection in Procreate, you can just hold the selection button? You can also save and load selections here if you're working with multiple selections, but I personally never got that much use out of it. So what if now we just go into this deep blue straight away, instead of first bright and then dark? And then to make it clear, a little bit more kind of hint at the waves, we can use some of that yellow kind of as a reflection on the wave. Then it's also kind of blurs this diver into maybe more of a spaceman territory. Now this is a good representation of waves, but maybe it's enough of a hint. Kind of pushing contrast a little bit more than in these other versions or variations. Just has a very bright yellow and very dark blue. Or we can also try one version here with the opposite, you know, with brighter blue at the bottom and darker blue in the middle. So if we make him a little smaller and maybe a little bit of center, then we could theoretically just pick this yellow. Whoa, it's too big. Also a bit too big. So something like this, and then instead of this pale white, pale blue, we can add dark blue first. Also like around the helmet. Just so the yellow pops a bit more. Like, everything is, you know, context dependent. And also the colors. Which is also always crazy to me when you look at some paintings of old masters, where it looks very natural and beautiful, lit landscape, for example, but if you go there with like a tool to pick the color, you would notice that actually a lot of it is almost gray or something that you wouldn't expect, but because of the colors around it, it makes it more, like, makes it pop more. You love the high contrast, very cool effect. Thank you. I think it pops more in this high contrast. I also prefer high contrast a little bit more out of these 6 at least. Personally, I think something between this one here, and this one here, and this one here, I guess, would be my personal preferences. But do let me know if you have other ones that you like more. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe we can also smudge stuff up. Oh, accidental deletion. So looking at these 6, for some reason number 6, somewhere between the last 2, is where I think I want to go. I like the high contrast on the left side, but maybe it's too too I don't know, too punchy, because the music itself isn't really that high contrast. It's very groovy, very easy to listen to and vibe. So I wouldn't want to go into this direction of, you know, I feel like this one is Idiot's Guide to Decompression. That's what the colors remind me of. So I think I will go with something more mellow colored. Let's create a new canvas for that. Probably should be a square. Let's get this shrimp map template. And we can insert the photo again. Let's add text and see if it actually looks good. I don't know if we will have the text on top at the end, because maybe not. And also I don't know what will be the style of the text, but for now let's just say it says decompression somewhere here, and maybe it's smaller and more spread out and all capitalized, let's say. It's spread out even more, but make the size smaller. And make it bold. So we can see that it's not really in the center. Now I will just use the selection tool to make the flames. We can always adjust them later, right? So not critical to get them completely right first time. something like this. And then using the same selection again, super useful. You can make the outside darker. Because this brush is so texturized, it adds these empty holes, or it doesn't cover everything completely, which is actually a pretty interesting effect. It gives this kind of like a starry night vibe, like it's space rather than anything else. Let's actually keep this selection. Let's save it as, well, I guess selection 1. May I rename it? Well, this is going to be our fire selection. And we can do the same for our water and the spaceman, I wanted to say, the diver. If I just follow him, follow the outline. So let's save this one as well. Selection 2. And then for, oh, also I've completely forgot to turn on the reference. I find it really useful to have in the corner just to keep an eye on the bigger picture. So now if we use this selection to just outline the foreground elements, and we can also again invert this selection and make the line a bit more sharp between the two. Something like this, I guess. And then we can probably add some more details with, I don't know, maybe with the same brush even. just picking the colors from the watercolor underlining sketch. So maybe it has like the texture of the waves, but very abstracted. So it just has these swirly lines. These are not the swirly lines that I mean. This is just wavy lines. It's a very different type of line. But maybe something like this to indicate that these are sort of waves in which this diver is swimming. And as it gets closer to us, we can make them be smaller, just to pretend that it has some perspective. I don't know if he's the center of these waves. Like, should we go like this? Or should it be more like he's in the waves? I think he's in the waves is a better option. Let's try it. What if he has like part of the waves is covering him? And then there is another even bigger pile of waves in front. And then it kind of feels a bit stupid to have the swirls in that direction. Let's undo the swirls. And add some more waves in front. And also we can add some more waves in the back behind this guy. Just to make it look like he's swimming in the ocean. And the further the waves go, the smaller they will get. I think before I said something the opposite. The closer they are, the smaller they get. This is clearly lies. Actually, I don't like this background wave. Let's not have it. But the foreground is actually okay. We clear this, and then even the closer one will cover darker. And then we can choose a smooth brush that kind of smoothens the outline a bit. and just do something like this. It's a bit strange that the water goes like this around the diver, but you know, strange shouldn't be a deal breaker. And then we can maybe add some more highlights to the helmet. Maybe also here on the shoulders, just to make it more clear that it's not just the head, it's also the neck. And we can define the shape a little bit better later. Especially if we create another layer with underneath the light, you can just go with the darker shade without being afraid of ruining the highlights. Something like this. And then the fire obviously will be also worked on. I don't know if it will have the same... Oh, we don't have swirls anymore on the waves, but probably will pick the brush that I have that changes the color. You know, every brush stroke has a different color variation. I feel like that's a useful brush for these sort of things when you want to add a little bit of difference to every stroke, but maybe not that much that it actually reads as a different stroke. And we can also select our fire just so we stay within the boundaries of it. This brush might be missing the pressure sensitivity. So let's add that. There we go. So I feel like as a sketch, this is very close to showable. It gives an idea. It's quite close to where I wanted to go, except, you know, the cleaning up of the edges. And I think also this the layers of water would be nice to have a little bit textured, so I can use the watercolor paper that I use for watercoloring to maybe add a little bit of a texture to this, to the waters specifically. I think underneath the helmet would be also the darkest spot, so maybe we need to use this super dark blue there. As well as underneath these vents, just to kind of bring more attention to these areas, because this guy is kind of the focus point of the album. Right. All right, I think for this album sketch, we are more or less done for this time. But what is left to do, as you know, is to play a little improvised piece of music. We never know how it turns out. Sometimes it sucks, sometimes it doesn't. Let's see what it does today. But in the meantime, while I'm getting ready, how have you liked the stream so far? What have you been doing? Did you decompress? That would be the ultimate goal, if you also decompressed. I don't think, well, I don't have any topics for the music. So since we have the same topic, maybe we can create some dub. First, let's just say thank you to the lo-fi generator. Oh. So for today, let's see what we have. Let's create new clip. Let's copy this clip to drum one. Okay. And then we empty it. Let's do the same. Let's create a new. Yeah, let's also clip this one. Do a new track. Right. And then we also clean it. And then for the third track, let's also copy it to number 11, maybe. And then the number 4 we can again completely clean up. So we have these plug sounds. And then number 4, what we have here is percussion. So we can also create, oh, maybe not create, actually copy this one. Copy this clip to number 4. All right. So now we also clean this clip. All right. So let me just show you what we have right now, and then we will go into the improvisation part as usual. So for the drums, we have this kind of stuff. For the bass, dark sub, maybe we'll change it to something else. Maybe not right now. Then for 3 is, what is it? It's a feedback plug, apparently. We can change it maybe to something more like a key. Oops, sorry about that. Maybe we need a keyboard of sorts, like an electric piano. Let's try with this. And I thought about dub, you know. So for dub, we need like 100 something, right? Let's create a simple beat. Super simple. Well, look at this. We have survived another stream. I want to thank you all for being here. I appreciate you spending time with me. And I wish you a great Sunday ahead of you and the week. And I hope to see you on the next stream later this week. Thank you all and have a good day. Bye.